stuck around to the end of the meeting because and nobody else would be there, but I would learn things about what was coming up in the next meetings and discussions and things like that. So it's actually the most, I don't want to say productive, but the most interesting part of the meeting.
Well,
guys, I'm going to interrupt for a second. Steve, I don't think we have a quorum yet. Is that correct?
That's what I was going to interrupt and ask.
We need David.
We've gotten 1, 2, 3. We got 4.
Well, but not for everything.
Yeah, not 4.
Yeah, because Eric's not participating in the first agenda item. So
yeah, that's what I was going to. That's what I was going to do a little housekeeping on.
Right. If we get a 5th one, so that you can go ahead with the gas station project. What I would like to do, if possible, is to do the. What I would like to do, if possible, is to do the 5th.
I did. Yeah, we spoke today, and we. She knew it was 6 o'clock, but I told her there was another application before her. But
I'm going to step out and Don Peter.
I will unmute. Give me one sec. Thought I could do this. But if anybody's on the phone or otherwise that has a public comment, you can just go ahead now and speak here. Sorry, does anybody have a public comment? If you do not, please mute yourself. I do not hear anybody, so we do not have any public comment.
okay, then. Jolie, should we once again go for the pleasure of the commission to revise the agenda order?
yes, we've already mentioned that public hearing item 1, 330 Distal, has been pulled from the agenda, and it will be renoticed. And I can explain that we didn't take a formal action to open and close the public hearing to continue it because of SB 335 meeting requirement. So we pulled it. So we saved a meeting. Just that was the strategy there. So if you would like to take 5150 ahead of 4350, since we do have a quorum for that item, and for the applicant for number 2, 4350 El Camino Real, if Mr. Steinley, Commissioner Steinley, recuses himself and we only have 3 members, we will not be able to continue on with that item. So I'm letting everybody know ahead of time. We will need at least 4 to be able to hear that item. And when that item is heard, you will need 4 people to take an action. So just letting everybody know what's happening right now. So just by consensus, do the 4 members agree to move item 3 to the beginning, 5150 El Camino Real?
Yes.
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 And I think we should give our apologies to 4350 El Camino applicants. Hopefully we'll be able to do that after this initial public meeting.
I certainly hope we do have a quorum. We checked, we understood we would. When we had our weekly planning call on Wednesday, we believed that we would have a quorum. So let's just go forward with 5150 and give that the 5th person time to get on. So
Okay.
take it away, Sean.
We can't hear you, Sean.
Okay, I will start my presentation. Thank you. On the wrong screen. 1 second. Sorry, it's going out of order. There we go. Good evening, Chair Doran and Commissioners. My name is Sean Gallegos, Senior Planner. The project before you tonight is a request to modify the approved vesting tentative map for a 2-lot subdivision for condominium purposes. The proposal is offering 29 low-income affordable units and a request for a waiver from the 75-foot site frontage requirement for lot 2. Of course, now All right, there we go again. Okay, this slide provides an aerial to show the location of the development along El Camino Real, with lot 1 with buildings A and B along the frontage, and lot 2 at the rear with townhouses. The nearest cross street is Distal Drive, which is located along the left of the screen. On December 10th, 2019, the council approved the design review, use permit, and subdivision application for a new 196 unit development at 5150. The project included 2 5-story condominium buildings along El Camino Real with 172 units and 2 3-story townhouses along the rear with 24 condominium units. The approved project included 28 affordable units with 12 moderate and 16 very low income units, a 35% density bonus, and on-menu development incentive to allow for increased height. Create the 2-lot subdivision. Lot 1 is proposed to be 2.4 acres and will include the 2 5-story buildings with associated private and common areas. Lot 2 is proposed to be 1.4 acres and will be further subdivided with the condominium plan for the townhouse buildings with for sale units and associated private and common areas. Lot 2 is accessible by 26-foot wide emergency vehicle access easements and public access utility easements, and a 4 to 7-foot wide pedestrian access easement across lot 1 to lot 2. The subdivision conforms to the permitted general plan and zoning densities as modified by state law. A comprehensive list of findings and approval conditions are provided in attachment A. The City Council previously required that affordable housing and parking should be provided during the phases of construction, or if the completion of the project could not be realized by the applicant. As part of the application, the applicant is eliminating the phased construction. Therefore, we have proposed condition number 4, 5, and 7 to eliminate references to phased development. These are provided on the screen and they're in your attached resolution and conditions. As advised previously, a 4 to 7-foot wide sidewalk with pedestrian access easements are provided across lot 1 from El Camino Real to lot 2, as shown on the tentative map and as provided in condition 9. After reviewing the conditions, staff noted a typographical error in referencing the sidewalk running along the east and west side of lot 1 as a public pedestrian easement. We are proposing a revision to condition 9 for the sidewalk to require a private pedestrian easement. Language is noted in blue on the screen above, which references a private sidewalk and a private pedestrian easement. This is condition number 9, which does supersede condition 33 in resolution 22 or 2019-43. Sorry. If the applicant in the applicant submittal, due to the project primarily being rental units, the affordable units are based upon a base density of 145 units, with 20% of the units being affordable, or a total of 29 units for the project. With regards to incentives or concessions, since the project is providing 20% of its units as affordable at the low income level, it continues to qualify for 2 incentives per state law and city ordinance. The proposed project is not requesting to modify the previously approved incentives or waivers. The project is seeking a new waiver, as stated previously, for an exemption from the 75-foot site frontage for lot 2. As stated above, the city must grant a requested waiver of the development standard reduction unless it can make one or more of the findings. Staff does not believe these findings can be made. Vehicular and pedestrian access from El Camino Real to lot 2 will be provided by the 26-foot wide lanes and 4 to 7-foot wide sidewalks along the east and west side of lot 1. The requested waiver would not have specific adverse impacts on public health or safety or the physical environment or any real property that is listed on the California Register of Historic Resources. A density bonus report is provided as an attachment to the report for you. As shown in the table, 29 units will be low income with 14 one-bedroom units and 15 two-bedroom units. The prior project had 8 very low and 4 moderate income one-bedroom units and 8 very low and 4 moderate two-bedroom units. The applicant is proposing to eliminate the affordable units in the for sale townhouse buildings. Previously, it did have 2 one-bedroom and 1 3-bedroom moderate income unit. As conveyed in the density bonus report, the size of the one-bedroom affordable units range from 777 square feet to 1,015 square feet, which staff believes is equitable in regards to floor area size to the market rate units. The two-bedroom units, affordable units, range from 1,135 square feet to 1,520 square feet, which staff does believe is, again, equitable to the market rate unit sizes. As reflected in the density bonus report, the affordable units are distributed equitably along the road frontages in the interior to the property, with no unfair distribution of units adjacent to trash rooms or other service areas. At the second floor level, staff does continue to believe that it is equitably distributed amongst the two floors or amongst the second floor. On the third floor, we do continue to believe that is equitably distributed fairly on the third floor and on the fourth floor. On the fifth floor, consistent with the project previously approved by City Council, there are no affordable units at the fifth floor proposed. On December 10th, 2019, City Council approved Condition 40 to restrict affordability housing in perpetuity, and Condition 24 to not permit the sale of the 3 townhouses if the development did not occur within 5 years. Thereafter, if the 5-story buildings were not built, then the units would become affordable. In previous council actions in regards on multiple family developments, the council has accepted that unit affordability shall stop at 99 years. Staff recommends modifying the original condition requiring affordable units to allow for a maximum of 99 years, not in perpetuity. Staff does recommend adding the original condition number 24 to the above condition to not permit the sale of the 5 townhouses for 5 years from the date of occupancy. And if the 172 rental units on lot number 1 are not initiated within 5 years from the date of completion of the townhouses, then the townhouses will be dedicated as affordable units. This is similar to the originally approved conditions that council approved in December 2019. In regards to Parkland dedication, again, council approved recommendation. Staff does recommend condition number 8 to supersede condition 26 from the resolution 2019-43. The blue highlights the changes that we're recommending, that the applicants and the city shall enter into good faith negotiations toward executing a memorandum of understanding or exclusive negotiating agreement prior to issuance of project's first building permit. It previously stated by January 31st, 2022, and that period has expired. So we're listing it towards the building permit issuance. The agreement would allow the city and the applicant to negotiate the terms of the agreement. Most of that is unchanged in the bulleted area. In blue at the bottom, we are requesting that in the event that an MOU or ENA is not executed by the parties prior to issuance of the project's first building permit, then the applicant shall instead pay the applicable in lieu fees. This condition number 8 is again intended to supersede the original condition number 26. An MND and MMRP for the project was adopted on December 10th, 2019. A subsequent MND is not required under state CEQA guidelines section 15162. Further explanation is provided in the staff report. Staff notes we received a comment from a resident who raised concerns that the project should be divided into 2 projects, with a 20% affordability rate applying to lot 1 due to being rental units, and a 15% affordability rate applying to lot 2 due to being ownership units. As reflected in the tables, a development treating the project as 2 separate projects will require a total of 23 affordable units under the city's affordable housing regulations. The development treating the site as 1 combined project will require the applicant to provide 29 affordable units. Staff believes it is a reasonable interpretation of the city's ordinance to treat the project as 1 combined project area, and thus provide an opportunity for 29 affordable units instead of 23 units. This concludes staff's presentation. Unless there are any questions, thank you. Oh, let me turn off. Sorry. Too many screens. Thank you.
Vice Chair, I think you're muted.
Okay, any comments from members of the Planning Commission for questions for staff on the report?
Well, I do have one issue, and it's sort of a question, and then I have a comment, so I'll come to the comment later. It's kind of a collateral issue because it really isn't important for this project and never has been important for this project, but it has to do with the, what's the word I'm looking for, completely fictional and untruthful myth that there is a major transit stop in Los Altos and that this is within a half mile of that major transit stop. Number one, the major transit stop that has been proposed is basically over on Showers. And I demonstrated in the company of our current mayor that that is more than a half mile away from this project. So A, that doesn't count. And B, there is no such thing as a major transit stop in Los Altos under the definition provided by the law. So I guess, Sean, since you put this in the report, and I know this is repeated from the previous report on this project, this is a carryover, if you will, from that one. And because they're providing many more parking spaces than would be required under this supposed parking ratio available under the density bonus law, it's kind of an argument in the abstract. Yet I'm concerned that this is being repeated in the report. So do you have anything to add to that apart from the fact that it was in a prior report and you've carried it over? I'm curious to know because I'm convinced that there is no such thing, but if you have some basis for this, I'd like to know what it is.
No, I do not have any additional information to add. As stated, the applicant isn't proposing any alterations to the original density bonus incentives or waivers, with the exception of the request for the additional waiver. They're asking to maintain the existing incentives that were approved by council previously.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why I said this was to some extent theoretical and collateral, but I'm concerned because this also is part of the 330 Distal project, same proposal, and it has the same weakness. And so this is an issue I think we need to get our hands around because that's going to be an issue. I appreciate, Sean, that this was just something you brought in from the previous report. And it's, again, it has nothing to do with the current proposal, but it is a point that needs to get clarified. We can take this up a little later. I just wanted to ask Sean if there was anything he had to add to what had been in the previous report. And I appreciate his response. I think it's exactly correct. So thank you. Other than that, I have no questions.
Richard or Mayrus?
I had a quick one. I just was wondering in terms of, I know you explained how if it is ending up being two projects, then the calculation would be different. But does that mean that we wouldn't be able to require any of the townhomes to be affordable if that's the case? Or I'm just wondering what the rationale for that was. And maybe the applicant can speak to that when they present, but I just was wondering why there wasn't any of the townhomes.
Well, I think the applicant can speak to why the original proposal was a request for affordable units solely on the rental. It's my understanding, and hopefully I'm not speaking for them, it was their perspective that the city administrator or the city would be more receptive to rental units, that rental units overall appear in their perspective to be more successful in regards to providing occupancy. And there's a whole series of obstacles many times with market rate unit sales of affordable units. And since they were providing solely rental units in the 2 5-story buildings, and we were seeking and agreeing to a 20% requirement for affordability, then we were seeking to have that tied to the primary rental building and not having it tied to the townhouse buildings. You could always request for the applicants to add units to that townhouse, but if the discussion lends itself to separating the development into 2 separate projects on 2 separate lots, then we run into the problem of the calculation changing from requiring 29 to 23. And that could be a barrier to mandating if you do go down that process.
Okay.
And one thing that, can you hear me?
Mhm.
I have my speaker, my bud's in now. Someone told me that I sounded like I was underwater before. So anyway, I'm not underwater now. So the other thing is I believe when this application came forward before and was providing the rental units, I think the city was excited about getting more rental units into our inventory. Because rental units do provide that level of affordability by design. And we do need rental units going forward with our arena numbers. So there is a benefit for having these be rental units.
And I'll further add that these are low income, they're all low income units. And we do have comments in the past about barriers for low income residents to have the barrier to get into for sale. It's sometimes unachievable for them. So having more of the rental units, and the city hasn't gotten a rental project in a while, that it's a need for the city. So we're getting more rentals and all low income, and they're some of them are there's a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units, but they're appropriate for all low income.
And then, sorry, one more question. As far as the 29 rentals, is there anything stopping us from potentially asking if some of them could be the very low designation, or is that kind of locked in at the low designation?
So so the 20% does provide for does qualify them for the 2 incentives. So if you start to modify it away from the 20% very or low, then you would have to alter it in a way where I believe you have 16, I think it's maybe 11% of the very low unit. We would have to have 11% of the units be very low in order for them to continue to qualify for the 2 incentives. And I'd have to double check that, but I believe that's the number. That was originally part of their proposal, was to try to have more very low, but they saw the low income units as being a greater opportunity for the city. And we were supportive of that.
Sure. Yeah. Just wanted to make sure I knew all the background on it. Okay. Those are all the questions I had. Thank you.
Susan, could I follow up on Eric's question?
Yes.
I would like to see something. I mean, we've talked about it and it's there, but how do we ensure that it gets done? The wording gets corrected for not only this project, but future projects, because I'm sure we're going to have more than this and distal come down the pike concerning the transit and the proximity to transit. So that's why just like to make sure that we get it done so it's in there and we've not just talked about it.
I think we should take that up as a future agenda item and not bring it into this item, but we can get some we will look into it. We've looked into it, but we can go look into it some more. Steve, do you have something to add?
Thank you.
No, but I think that's something to take up on another agenda. And we have looked at that transit corridor and have studied a bit. There's the Showers Drive Transit Center, and I think stone's throw away from there in El Camino, there's another transit stop, and that's maybe the consideration of you have 2 different transit lines in that same area, and the proximity of the physical proximity of the stops was such that, call it a major transit. Likewise, if you go to San Francisco and you go down into the Muni underground stations to get between different lines, you sometimes have a really healthy walk to get between those 2 points on the platforms where there's 2 different lines that join together. So we'll take a look at that.
So we put that on our to-do list.
Let me just add that the line that you're talking about, the requirement is not only that the 2 lines intersect, but they both have headways, that is distance between buses, of no more than 15 minutes during peak commute hours, and not one of the buses that goes and stops at Showers Drive has headway of less than 30 minutes at any time during the day. So by definition, there is no major transit stop.
Okay.
That's my point.
Let's-
All
We
right,
can
well,
talk about this at another time,
let's get
but I just
back
wanted
to
correct that.
51.
Let's get focus on this project and get
Yeah,
back.
thank you,
Yeah.
Vice Chair. I was just
Yeah.
saying the same thing.
Okay.
Richard, do you have any other comments, or was that on this? project?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I
And-
do have a question for Jolie. Jolie, you're that lovely creature that keeps walking by you, which is not a dog, and as a devoted slave of a cat, I just wondered what the cat's name is.
This is Ginger. Ginger. It's Ginger. There's a story to Ginger, but I won't
Save it
bore
for-
everybody with it. But my mom had a Ginger that adopted her, and then that Ginger was an outside cat, and she adopted my mom, and we had her for 3 years. She had a little bed on the porch, and we fed her. And then Ginger 1 disappeared. So to make my mom not be sad, I found a Ginger 2, but Ginger 2 now lives with me. So, but I take her to go visit my mom. But anyway, so this is the replacement Ginger. So,
Okay.
and she loves to sit on my keyboard. If you
Yeah.
haven't noticed, I have to keep getting her off. But this is Ginger 2 to keep my 96-year-old mother happy when I go visit. So she has her ginger pie. So
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
kind of switching back to the project.
can I ask a question?
My comments were close to what Bruce was asking about in terms of, I just had some questions about the trade-off between the units and the townhouse units. But I also just want to clarify, by going to 29, let's say, versus the 23 that they were required, those extra 6 units help us with our arena numbers as well, because it's based on units, not on square footage or bedrooms, correct? Can somebody answer that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Steve could answer, but yes, of course, the additional 6 units at a low income will help with our arena.
Well, because it's done by units, not by square footage or how many bedrooms there are.
It's
So,
done by units, correct?
Okay.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, I think that's it. We'll close this part of the public hearing. We'll now move on. I believe applicant would be next, and then followed by public comments after that. Does the applicant wish to present?
Yes, we do.
Okay, how long, Steve? Do we
They would
give
get
them?
10 minutes.
Okay. Please go
Good
ahead.
good evening, Planning Commission Vice Chair, Planning Commissioners. I'm Don Peterson with Prometheus Real Estate Group. I represent the applicant. I'm pleased to be with all of you. I'm joined here tonight by Mike Ducote, also from Prometheus, as well as John Ennis with BDE Architects, the project architect, Lee Rosenblatt with CBG Civil Engineers, and Jen Rank with Shepherd Mullen, our Land Use Council. First, I wanted to just lead with thanking city staff. I know our team has really appreciated working with them. We're in agreement with the staff report recommendations and amended conditions. I'll keep my comments brief. We'll let the staff's presentation and staff report speak for itself, but I thought it would be beneficial for me to offer at least a little bit further background context as to how our group came to be before you this evening. As the staff report indicates, this project was previously approved by Planning Commission and City Council in late 2019. We, Prometheus, we were neither the property owner nor the developer at the time the entitlements were issued. We have since come to own the 5150 El Camino Real property in part by way of a foreclosure process. But since stepping in as owner of the property, it's been our intention all along to, for the most part, accept the entitlements previously issued as is, and 2, to start construction on the project as soon as possible. So just let me step back for a minute, offer some brief background on Prometheus. Prometheus, we're a developer, operator, investor, mainly of multifamily, residential, but also mixed-use properties. We're based in the Bay Area. We have a long history here, over 50 years. We're a private family-owned company, and much of our portfolio over that time frame is in the South Bay, and in fact, with a significant amount of it located nearby in Mountain View. We've approached this particular development with the intention of building, again, what was previously approved under the 2019 entitlements, and not changing density, heights, parking, open space, as noted by Sean in his presentation. Also wanted to make mention, the buildings are in the exact same location, and that widened sidewalk that's referenced is also exactly the same as before. Really, the changes as noted by staff that relate to the amendment to the vesting tentative map, they're really a function of our intention and strategy to rent the 172 units in the two larger buildings on the site and not sell them as individual condominium units, as the previous owner developer intended. And so the revision of the map allows us to create the legal separation between the rental units and the 24 townhomes. The 24 townhomes obviously will be sold as originally contemplated. And then the other change reference relates to the modification to the affordability requirements. Again, relates back to our election to build rental units within the two larger buildings. And we needed to meet both city requirements and continue to conform to state density bonus law. So we've had a good back and forth with staff. We've respected their guidance on this front. I would echo the comments from before where we felt that the city would be welcome to having the affordable units be on the rental side of the project. It'd be a higher number of rental units, all low income. And frankly, from our standpoint, it's easier to manage all the BMR units if they're all located within the rental side of the project. Aside from these modifications, we're excited about the prospects of moving forward. You know, the staff report acknowledges that this project will help towards the city's housing element and RENA goals and projections. We're eager to advance the project, get under construction as soon as possible. So with that, I'll conclude my comments, but my team and I are available for any questions. Thank you.
I had a question for the applicant. Just because since the city council always wants to make sure we're doing our due diligence with this, how flexible are you in terms of the distribution of the 29? If we were to ask you to do the townhomes or have a different mix of the 29 rentals, are you pretty much locked in at this, or what are your thoughts on that?
Again, this has been the product of a lot of back and forth. We need to ensure, as was referenced earlier, that we're adhering to both city requirements as well as density bonus law. If we feel that there is a proposal that still meets both city requirements and density bonus law, I think we'd be open to that overture.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners to the applicant? No? Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Jolie. I think now we open it to public comment. Okay. Is there anyone who would like to make a public comment? It's usually 2 or 3 minutes. We'll see how many we have. So Steve, what is the best way for people to indicate that?
Again, if they can raise their hand at this time, your screen is a little bit different than mine, so you can probably tell them where to find the hand icon. And once we start seeing hands raised, then you might decide how much time to give individuals.
Yeah, actually, I do not see that on my screen.
I'm seeing
Reaction, is that what?
I'm seeing a couple where there's a hand is raised.
Oh, I see them now. Okay, yes,
Yeah.
I do. They're showing up. So we appear to have 2. So Steve, what would you recommend in terms of time?
I think it'd be appropriate if you gave up to 3 minutes.
Okay, so why don't we start with Hans' iPhone? If you'd like to unmute yourself, we'll have 3 minutes.
Hi. Well, thank you for the introductions of the projects. I have a question because I joined halfway and in a presentation. I have a question mainly on the public facilities, the facilities alongside with the new houses. like what are those bring to the community? For example, what I'm looking for is green belts, parks, and a grasses area, which makes the community still preserve as what Los Altos used to be. That is one question there. And also, I'm just curious between the townhouse and I assume the higher density one will be closer to the El Camino Street, and the townhouse will be towards the back. And between the townhouse and the other lot behind that, is there any like proper spacing there? Like, do we plan to have like screening trees and a green belt as the same? So generally, public facility, given this many people are coming in, and I believe they enjoy a life like with this many of parks and ways to walk their dog, and also like having the right spacing with the between the townhouse and the families behind. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think now Pierre, we'll give you 3 minutes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. My name is Pierre Bedard. I happen to be a commissioner on the Library Commission, but I'm also a resident of Casita Way and have seen this project from the very, very first start. So I know Marus and I go way back. The one thing, thank you for the presentation. I appreciate Prometheus coming up and doing this. As a lawyer, I understand the reason for the lot split. It makes perfect sense. And I appreciate you taking the time and coming through the Planning Commission and getting it ruled on. I also very much appreciate the fact that the park at 745 is still in play. With 330 Distal coming in and 5150, the one thing that we lack dearly in North Los Altos, at least in my region, El Camino, is a park. So thank you at least for keeping it as a possibility. I haven't been trumping it around for the last 3 years and beating my chest, feeling terrible about it. But the fact that there is hope and you recognize the need for green space is great. I assume you're going to talk to the property owners around here, and hopefully you can help us in terms of getting the proper screening, and that's fantastic. So again, thank you for your presentation. I have one comment for Mr. Golden. I too walked to the Showers Drive stop. I too read the law. This is just an artifact that just needs to be cleaned up. So from a legal perspective, if you read the law and you look at it, but it's throughout. I recently completed an ADU, and the fact that my house is near a transit stop also came up on the actual permit. So anyway, it's just something to be looked at. But again, thank you very much, and I appreciate everything. Thanks.
Great. Is there anybody else in the public who would like to make a comment? Okay, we will close the public comment section of the public hearing. And now I think, again, please someone correct me if I'm incorrect. It's time to see if any commissioners have comments as well.
Well, you should give the applicant 5 minutes rebuttal if they want to take that 5 minutes.
Then we will do that. Applicant, you have 5 minutes if you would like it.
Hi, yeah, just real briefly, Mike Ducote here with Prometheus. I think the first public comment asked about the screening, and I think even on the second one as well. So we're doing exactly what was approved in the plans, and there's a significant amount of trees being planted at the back of the property behind the townhomes for the purpose of screening between the new development and the neighbors back there. And we will 100% work with the neighbors as well, because I know there was a condition regarding that. So we're definitely aware of that, and our intent is to fully comply and be a good neighbor.
And I would just on that second regarding the issue with the park, you know, we are, I guess we'll assert we're open to pursuing negotiations with the landowner for that park. we're obviously sensitive or concerned that, that we can act in good faith. They may not act in good faith, so it may be out of our control, but we certainly will pursue negotiations with the landowner in good faith. We have a track record, I would say, in Mountain View of building parks more often than paying in lieu fees. So I just wanted to say that for the record. Thank you.
Okay. Now time. Any commissioners have any comments that they'd like to make?
I can go first, Susan.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, basically I fully support the modification to the tentative map and subdividing it into 2 lots. I also support the 75-foot waiver. As far as the distribution of affordable units, I think that, at first glance, going from 25 condos and 3 townhomes to then 29 rentals and 0 townhomes, I think it feels like something was off. But I think that given what we know about rental units, I think that and how important they are, I understand your logic behind that. So I would support the 29 rentals. If there's a way to include a few of them as very low, which is what the League of Women Voters had wrote in their letter, then that would be great. But I think overall, I understand how impactful this is going to be for Los Altos, because we don't see a lot of these rental projects. So yeah, those are my comments.
Eric or Richard?
No, I'm very in favor of the project. Prometheus has got a good reputation from what I've seen, and I think it'll be an excellent project for the city. And as the gentleman said, they're anxious to get started.
Great. Eric?
I want to second everything that Marus and Richard just said, and I want to stand in solidarity with my comrade Pierre. He and I were working hard on this project when it was before the commission before. It took a long time, but it eventually came to a good solution, I think. And I'm delighted that Prometheus is going to do what was there. I'm very encouraged by that. I like the fact that it has the rentals, and I think that there's perfect justification for all of the things that they're asking for. And so I would recommend, and I would even be willing at a certain point to make the motion that we forward the resolution with a recommendation that it be adopted to the council.
I would also like to echo everything that's been said. I think it's a good project. I do like the idea there's going to be the rental units. I'm kind of a little bit, it would be nice to have the townhouse as well, or a townhouse unit, because it's larger housing and can meet more needs. But please do give some thought to converting some of the units to very low income. I agree with Bruce. We have a desperate need for that as well. But I also am in favor of the project. So now you need that motion, Jolie?
Yes.
Let me also mention one thing. In reading the resolution, I think if you look, if I'm not correct, at the 4th whereas, it refers to 29 units to be sold. I believe, aren't those rental units, or am I reading that wrong?
No, that's
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so I think if you make that change, that would be helpful. But
Also, Vice Chair, I would also mention that in the staff presentation, there was a recommendation to make a change to one of the conditions, I believe. And Sean might be able to remind you of that specific. So when you make your motion, I would include that as well for the record.
Right.
Sean, can you tell us what the motion needs to be?
I think it needs to reflect the changes to condition 3, 8, and 12, I believe.
I think if I may give it a stab, I'd like to move that we approve resolution, that's not the right thing. We read MOD 22-0003 with the modifications that had to the language of the resolution that have been proposed, specifically the ones that Sean mentioned, and then to correct the one that Susan mentioned, to say where it says not 29 for sale, but the 29 rentals, to change that language appropriately to reflect the current state of the proposal. But with those modifications, I would move that we recommend this project to the council, and and approval of the resolution.
I will second.
Okay, great. Steve, can you take a vote?
Yes. Commissioner Steinle,
Yes.
Commissioner Roche,
Yes, yes,
Commissioner Ahi,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Menzinger.
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, thank you all. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
now we are
Thank you.
still minus a quorum for the 4150 El Camino, regretfully. Unless have you heard anything, Steve, from David?
I texted and emailed, and I haven't gotten any response. Just checking, looking through the participant list one more time.
Perhaps, assuming David isn't here, we could go to commission reports and comments and potential future agenda items, and just if chance he should join us by then. And again, I apologize to the applicant.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair. I was going to suggest to move on and give a little more time for the fourth person to show up, or the fifth, I guess, the fifth.
Okay, so let's move on to commissioners' reports and comments. Are there any from anybody?
I was responsible for last night's city council meeting, and I did attend it. I even joined it early, thinking that maybe they would take the wireless issue and move it maybe earlier forward.
Mhm.
I did finally they finally got to it. And I've got to be very honest with you, at 11:30, when I turned off my computer, they were still looking for some slides that had come in from out of space somewhere or were missing. I subsequently understand that it went till 1:30, so I cannot tell you what the final outcome of the wireless was, other than what I read in the Post today, and that was totally unclear.
I can say that it passed 3-2. And it was the mayor, Councilmember Lee Ing, and Councilmember Flygar. The two dissenting votes were Commissioner Weinberg and Meadows. But it did pass.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, it was introduced. It comes back on consent to be adopted, but that was the final outcome.
Okay, any other reports? Okay, Steve, do you have potential future agenda items for us?
I do have that, and then a couple announcements just from staff. The housing element is proposed to come to the commission on the 7th of July. That will be our next meeting. We've kind of cleared the agenda for just talking about housing element. More to come, I believe, from the community development director about that. And a couple announcements with regards to the planning commission minutes. We unfortunately weren't able to publish the last meeting minutes or get in time for this agenda, but that will be to you, which will also include the SB9 discussion that I think you're awaiting to get that to the list of items. And that will be essentially the last set of minutes that will be essentially like the summary minutes. We're going to be going towards just action minutes per the commission handbook. That is in line with, again, the commission handbook and what city council is doing. So in the future, you won't see as much detailed in the minutes or the summary of the minutes. So just to note that. And another announcement that I have is we got some information actually via Jolie that in October, which is a little bit far off, but we'll forward you the information. October 7th, the Institute for Local Government is going to be having planning commissioner training. All commissioners in the county of Santa Clara and San Mateo are going to be invited. The training is going to be, I believe, it's an all-day training from 9:30 to 4, pretty comprehensive. Again, October 7th, and it's going to be in San Jose. we'll send out an email with a registration. Essentially, it is free, so but we're encouraging you to attend that if possible, because we think it's a really good training for our commission. And October 7th, there might be at least one, if not more, commissioners seated by then. So it'd be a good opportunity for that new commissioner. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Oh, I can add, sorry, I think I referred to Mr. Weinberg and Ms. Meadows as commissioners. They're council members, so I apologize. I didn't catch that. The other thing is the my staff were providing public works training for the public works staff. I believe it's going to be virtual. I believe you might be able to come online and review it. I'll check, but if you're interested in public works contracts and bidding and prevailing wage and those certain issues, that is also a free training if you would like to participate or view it. I don't know, public works contract stuff can get pretty tedious, but some people love it. So anyway, I'd like to put that out there.
Will you send us a link on that?
I will, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I do not see we have our additional member yet, so I'm afraid,
Want to take a
Angie,
break?
we will not be able to go forward with 4150 today.
When
will it be able to come back?
We should continue it to a date certain, so we do not have to send out new notification. So what date would that be, Steve?
Well, sorry, I'm just trying to. Well, the 7th, I know we're trying to keep for the housing element. So if that's the case, then it would be deferred until the 21st of July.
Do we need a motion for that, Julie, or do we just do it?
Yes, you should make a motion to continue.
I see Director Zorn's on. Is that what you would agree as well if we're keeping the 7th open for the housing element?
Yeah, private development applications are not to be going with the housing element just because of the level of review that needs to be conducted.
So but we do need a motion to continue it to a date certain, and then the applicant won't have to renotice. So
can we get a motion for that from somebody? I'll do it. Okay, let's move it to a date certain to July 21st, was it?
yes.
Yes, to July 21st.
I'll second it.
Steve, if you could take the roll.
Yes. Getting to my notes window here. Sorry. Commissioner Steinle.
Aye.
Commissioner Roche.
Yes.
Commissioner Ahi.
Yes.
And Vice Chair Mensinger.
Yes. And again, apologies to the applicant and anyone from the public who was on the call to try to do it tonight. We apologize. Summer is tough. I think that is it. I want to thank all of you for putting up the first time I've had to chair a meeting. So thank you.
Good job.
I think we stand adjourned at 7:01.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
can all go and
Recording
watch
stopped.
the game.
That's right.
Yeah.
No,
Thank you.
okay,
Bye.
thanks.